It's three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the OLine Committee.
This is going to be chaos today. I can already.
Yeah, I'm already fired up. All right,
Booney's a little excitable today.
I am excitable today. Okay, I'm in a mood. All right, can I tell him? Do I have to wait?
You have to wait.
Well, about the live, our first ever live show. Is that what you're?
Has been officially booked. Yep. Jay has confirmed.
I'm confirmed.
Yeah, as long as you can get here, I'm here, baby. Let's go.
We haven't announced. Like the whole. So yes, we're gonna. Let's just. Well, we can throw this out.
You're already chaotic. I love it.
I can't announce all the Score North stuff yet, but let's just say that you're going to want to be at the Minnesota State Fair Monday, August 25th, if you want to see the first ever OLine Committee live podcast recording. Let's go.
Football.
Yeah.
We're going to put Mackey right in the middle. Right in the middle of Boone
Right
and I,
in the middle.
So
I cannot
snuggle
wait.
up in.
Hey,
hopefully it's not 1,000 degrees outside.
Do you remember the last time he was right between us? We were like messing
Yeah,
with
when
him
we
and
did the silent
shaking him.
We did the silent podcast.
That's amazing. That was so awesome.
We've done one show. We've been doing this podcast for 2 years now. We've done one show in person. And old Macadac fucked up the audio file, so it's just us animated
funny that was?
talking. Yeah.
Remember how funny that was?
Just a silent film. It was just a silent film.
I remember when you texted us like, guys, I fucked up real bad.
The old silent film never
Spent like
goes
an
well
hour
on.
setting up this equipment and everything. All right, here we go. This will be great. I
gold,
can meet
too.
you guys out at the practice
Come
facility.
to TCO. It'll be great. Come to Training House. We're going to have so much fun.
No. So, all right, we got like 25 minutes with Jay and then agent stuff, and we're going to try and pack a lot in here to like 45 minutes or so. But and dumb football questions, basically wall to wall.
Let's roll.
A shout out to our friends at KW Outdoor Solutions helping to power this episode of the OLine Committee. For our friends in the Twin Cities specifically, if in fact people's windows are all grimy from winter and we've had like storms and stuff here too, so it's just like if you're looking for a deep exterior clean, dirt and dust buildup, hard water stains, cobwebs, grime, windowsills, frames, all that stuff, KW Outdoor Solution delivers high quality exterior cleaning services that will help you with the value, the appearance of your home. So whether it's a one-time deep clean or a recurring maintenance plan, KW Outdoor Solutions can help you out. If you mention that you heard about this on OLine Committee or on Score North Podcast, 10% off your first purchase, KWOutdoorSolutions.com. KWOutdoorSolutions.com.
Football.
Or just have Boone come over with
Squeegee.
a squeegee and a
I do my own
sponge or
windows.
something.
Absolutely. I'm a big worker. Let's go.
Yeah. So, okay, boys, dumb football questions. The first one, and keep submitting these all throughout the offseason. We're doing like full episodes on these, and you guys are sending in awesome ones. YouTube comment section. Click that like button, the subscribe button on the OLine Committee YouTube channel. And the first one comes in from Matt Lucht, 3829. And he's kind of reacting to last week. There was a bunch. Colin Cowherd made waves with some JJ McCarthy criticism. He's like, hey, I saw in the headlines that McCarthy has thrown an interception in like 3 straight mini camp practices. Red flags. Oh my God, McCarthy's going to be a bust. His arm is weak, whatever. And so there's been a bunch of national discussion about JJ McCarthy. And Matt says McCarthy will not flame out. Stake in a beer bet. I don't know how we quantify
Pause.
that.
Pause. Real quick. Go ahead.
But he says McCarthy will take the Vikings to the playoffs and they will win at least a playoff game. So it's more of a take than a question. But do you think McCarthy is being set up to fail or flame out here?
No. No shot he's being set up to fail.
I mean, set up to fail.
You're set up to fail when you go to a trash team with no weapons and no offensive line and say, fix us, Mr. First-round quarterback. Send us to the promised land, right? Mm-hmm. Which is what Cleveland's done for the last decade.
Easy.
Hasn't necessarily worked. But if there's any young quarterback in the league that is not set up to fail, it's JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I guess to phrase it differently, the rest of the roster is not that it's perfect, but it's a really good roster.
No, it's legit.
Like a top
it's
5
really
roster.
like the whole line is getting real good. The receivers, you got a backfield, you got some tight end. Like, dude, you gave him a lot, right? There's a lot.
Everything's ready to rock.
I
and
agree.
Here he comes, never having played a game before.
This is where this is how he's getting set up. Everyone's kind of like, well, how hard could it be? And it's like, no. It's still really hard, right? Because it's not just the offense. There's a defense that's involved, and they have to stop points too, right? Like all of a sudden you're like, I see why he's saying this. I feel like he is kind of getting set up a little bit because it's like if they don't go to the playoffs, it's all JJ McCarthy's fault. And it's like, what if they're the Bengals? What if they're scoring 45 points, but they're giving up 48 a week? All of a sudden we have problems, right? Like you have to go back and look at this. I think that JJ has the best opportunity for any young quarterback going into the NFL, especially because the Vikings just re-upped on their O-line. Like they were like, hey, we're going in hardcore on this shit. We need him to be good to go. And I think that's why I'm like, I really like this, but I don't think the whole success of the team is divided on one person and what he does. And that's where I think everyone's taking this. If they don't make it to the playoffs, it's all JJ's fault. And it's like, that doesn't really work like that, but sure, we'll evaluate this later. But I want to know more importantly, the fuck we started with another Vikings question. Ding this dude for his homer
another Vikings
always with these Vikings questions.
Wait, timeout. Hold on.
31 other teams, bro.
Only one of us is wearing an actual Vikings-issued shirt today,
God
by the
damn
way.
it, Jay. I didn't even see that until right now. Ding him. You know the rules.
You're coming at
team
me.
issue. It's a team
What
issue.
are you wearing
that's
that
a shield
for?
fine.
You are
It's
such a shield fine.
It's a shield fine. I will say this, Booney, to counter your point, though, it could 100% be his fault.
Oh, I
Right?
agree,
Like,
but I'm not saying I'm going to.
As much as it's not like, oh, it's only. It very well could be like, oh my God, he can't stop throwing interceptions.
He sucks, right?
Or like that is very in the realm of possibilities. I just don't think that's probably the most probable possibility with Kevin O'Connell, with Justin Jefferson, with T.J. Hawkinson. Right, Darisaw comes back healthy. You got
Brian O'Neill,
like
Ryan Kelly. Yep,
he would really, really have to suck.
To
like really fail. Now, like we've seen guys like Caleb Williams come in and get sacked over and over again, and like that doesn't end well. But you put it on the flip side, look at like what Jaden Daniels did last year. Right, comes in behind a serviceable offensive line. He has some more weapons from the mobility standpoint, but was able to have success early. It's all going to be a matter of how well can JJ and KOC continue to develop that synergy between the two of them, to where he's not putting too much on JJ to make it his fault if things go wrong, but to really try and save him, put him in the best possibilities to succeed, and rely on other people on the roster to make things happen too.
Agreed. I'm just saying, quite literally, if they don't make the playoffs, it's not just his fault, right? Like right now, I'm saying I don't believe that if they don't make the playoffs, it's just because JJ wasn't there. Like it's like I see he's going to be a pretty good player. I don't think, like Jay said, he's
I also
gonna
don't think you should.
downfall.
You can't say flame out because you didn't take him to the playoffs in his first year.
Right. Well, that's. I feel like that's the part though that gets.
But that's the hard part for when you have a young quarterback that comes onto a loaded team. Well, like the bar is. Dude, we're a Super Bowl contender versus like, listen, he could just have some growing pains as a first-year starting quarterback in the NFL, and not everything's going to go cozy. And as we learned last year, you could be 10-7 and not make the playoffs, right? Like that's a possibility when you're playing against guys that are this good, and there's this many teams that are having success. Like, what is the gauge for success for a first-year quarterback? Not many people's going to say, take them to the playoffs and win a playoff game.
Well,
like that's an unrealistic expectation.
Is it though? When you went to the playoffs the year before with
JJ McCarthy,
I know, but I'm almost saying like we're almost saying that they're kind of the same quarterback, aren't they? Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy.
Stop.
All right, never mind. Okay.
No, he's a rookie, dude. He's a rookie.
Well, he's not a. Well, he is for 3 more games.
He's a rookie for three more games.
For
3 more games, he's a rookie.
I got you, Rook. I got you.
Yep.
I think obviously I'm the resident Vikings podcast host here, so I'll just ding myself for the upcoming Homer take.
The biased take of.
God. Now, how quickly
take the
people
bet
forget.
Then, Mackey.
I spent 4 years crucifying the old Vikings quarterback, and no one called me a homer then. But
now you're all over. Hey, take the bet then. You have to.
So he says the bet is that he will not. I agree he won't flame out. So one of you guys would have to take the bet that he will flame out.
No, I thought he said.
Figure out what that
No, I
looks
thought
like.
he said the bet was sticking.
I thought he said
he
he had
the playoffs.
The playoffs and win a playoff game. I thought that was the stake in a beer.
That's the bet you're going to have to take.
I align with Matt on that. I think they do make the playoffs, and all right, it's a coin flip if they get in for the playoffs.
Are you going against this? Because I don't know that I am right now. I'm going to be honest with you.
I mean, I think they're one of the.
It's still a tough division.
I think they're one of the top 8 teams in the NFC. So
I know
probably. Yeah, they'll probably go to the playoffs unless there's a disaster and injuries and all that stuff. I think on paper, yeah, they should at least make the
By the
wild
way,
card.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You are in one of the toughest divisions. You forget Ben Johnson's now jumped over to Chicago. You have Matt LaFleur still at Green Bay. You have
Who's
Dan
just
Campbell.
throwing rookies in under the bus for being in the training room, which is just fantastic.
Love it.
He's like, oh, yeah, that guy has signed his contract, been in the training room, thinks he's hurt. I'm like, oh, my gosh, dude. I was like, you are just going in right now.
Slaughter them.
I do have one more homer take on McCarthy. I know that what you did in college doesn't necessarily directly translate, but if I'm looking for, all right, what are some signs that he might translate, especially in Kevin O'Connell's system? The 3 things he was great at in college were third and long. Mm-hmm. He was like 73% completions on third and long and the highest first down conversion rate. So that's like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10 when they know you're probably passing. He was great when pressured, too, just getting the ball out and kind of eating the blitz. The other thing he was great at was throwing over the middle on crossers and dig routes. So there's been some smarter people than me that have kind of dug into the throws. He didn't throw the ball that often. Right, but when he did, it was a lot of crossers and digs that are in Kevin O'Connell's system. So, like, if he can be, if I told you nothing else other than he's going to be good on third and long, he's going to be good when pressured, and he's good over the middle. Like, he's going to find his tight end up the seam. I would say, okay, cool. Like, you don't need to throw for 5,000 yards. Like, do those things, and you're probably going to make the playoffs, right?
Just don't lose the game, right? Just don't lose the game. Don't be a hero ball, and don't try and force it into double coverage when you can. Like, take what they give you. Like, be a good game manager, and then grow into the difference maker.
Yeah, okay. All these homer takes coming out here.
That's a massive ding.
Okay, Chavez 3594 and a bunch of other people are flooding our comment section wondering from Agent Jeremiah, without getting in trouble, can you shed light on the Shemar Stewart contract situation? He's the only rookie first rounder.
Oh, this is good. This is good talk.
In camp. And is there any agent's perspective that Jeremiah can give without getting in trouble?
Yes. I mean, so here's from what I understand, and I don't have the full picture, right? I'm going to preface this by saying I haven't read his contract. I don't know what they're trying to put
roll
in
a warning
it.
at the bottom.
Like not advice.
Not historically accurate.
But what I believe is happening is there is language that is put into his contract that was not in the first rounder's contract last year.
Correct.
Right? And so as an agent and as a player, you kind of get stuck in a hard spot of, am I going to set a precedent for everyone that comes behind me? Right? And why then do I need to become the guy that you do this with?
Yeah.
Right? And teams are constantly trying to sneak in language that's more beneficial to the team, whether it's injury protection, whether it's NFI, whether it's, I think, bring Joey Bosa hang out for the offset language. Right, there's a bunch of different little semantics things. There's not a ton you can negotiate, but first rounders have more power than, say, a seventh rounder, right? And so what I'm hearing is, hey, they're trying to set a new precedent for language they want to put in their contract for all the first rounders, all the draft picks that they have moving forward. And Shemar Stewart and his agent, Adam Heller, I believe it is saying, no, we're not going to be your guinea pigs here. We're not going to be the first ones. We're going to sign the exact same deal that you signed last year with your first rounder. No new language, none of that. And we'll sign the deal tomorrow. And now there's trenches dug on both sides and hard lines in the sand put. And now it's who blinks first, right? And it's going to be really interesting to see how all that plays out, because I tend to side more with the player and the agent than I do with the organization. But I also understand the organization's point at times when they go, we got to get this language in at one point in time, because from what I have read, it's universal language around the league, right? A lot of other teams have put this language, and I should know exactly what the language is. I kind of forgot. I read up on it 2 weeks ago,
I'll tell you in a minute.
right? Like read up on what that specific language is. And the rest of the league usually uses that language, but Shemar Stewart's going, I will not be the first. I'm not going to be the first.
This is one of my biggest bones of contentions. The language is that basically if he gets in trouble in any way, it voids his deal. And that's where I start to have a problem too, because it's like, listen, you're really handcuffing these kids to be like, you can fucking do nothing. You do what we say when we say, and if there is anything that goes sideways, this contract is void. And it's like, that's not how it fucking works. At some point, you all have to come together on this. I don't agree with that at all, because you could also, Jay, and don't act stupid, you could pull a lot of things out and be like, well, this was a violation. And you're like, he parked in the wrong spot. Like, that's a violation. And like, technically in the handbook it says, and you're like, well, it does say that. So now they're like, we're going to void his deal. You have to be careful when you deal with these owners, man. They're smart. They're very smart. So if I'm him, if I'm Stewart, I'm like, yeah, dude, you're not putting this in my contract. I get a speeding ticket. You think you're going to be able to void my contract because you don't like it?
And that's where I'd need to read the language of like what accounts for that.
I don't think it's specific. I think it says that if you get in trouble, and it's like, that's a very broad fucking term.
You'll have those contracts. You've read those contracts.
But
they're pretty buttoned up. Right, and so it'd have to be more along the lines of like, hey, if it's felony or criminal intent or whatever it might be, like that would be part of the negotiation of what we do is we call it narrowing the scope, right? Like, hey, they love to put very broad terms into the contract, right? Like Boone said, if you get in trouble, then the deal is voided. Right, it's our job as an agent to come in and go, oh, well, what's the scope
trouble?
of that trouble? Like, define trouble. Is it like, right? What do you got, Mac?
So I've got a description of the language here.
Here we go. Hit us.
So from ESPN, according to a source with knowledge of the negotiations, the Bengals have examined. And by the way, this language was put into Gray Zabel's contract apparently by the Seahawks and another player. Looks like Walter Nolan from the Cardinals. So, like Jay said, it is language that's
starting to become more universal.
Right, it's becoming a norm.
But it's that the Bengals have examined similar language for other rookies around the NFL and believe, and here it is, if the sticking point is that the contract could void guaranteed money in the future if Stewart were suspended, even for an off-field reason such as, an on-field reason such as leading with the crown of the helmet. So that's the thing. It's like, all right,
there it is.
my
it's
client
on-field stuff.
Gets arrested, all right, I guess.
No.
Whatever. But this is like if he gets a
15-yard
penalties or whatever. Yeah, that's
where you start to draw the line because you're like, well, now the kid's like, well, dude, I'm kind of a dog out here. Like, I'm gonna get in a little bit of trouble, and you're like, I kind of want a little bit of trouble, and all of a sudden it's like because he hit somebody
we'll
too
void
fucking
your
hard.
contract. If
right?
you do.
Like that's so silly to me that you're gonna make this kid go through this, and at the same time. From now on, Seattle, you'll have to sign that in your contract because Gray signed it.
It's
and whoever the Cardinals is, from now on, you will now have to sign it. And that's one of the things that people don't understand about a contract is the minute you become the first, everybody after you goes, why? Why would you do that? You didn't fight for yourself on this one. Gray Zabel, the same thing. You get into a fight in a game, take somebody's helmet off and punch him in the face, and they fucking suspend you. Guess what? You piss off the Seahawks, guess what, buddy? It's over. And people are like, I'll never do that. And it's like, you don't understand what kind of a business you're walking into, but good luck with that, okay? Because we all walked away hating each other going, that was fucking hard. And people watching over their back constantly going, God, am I going to get in trouble for this, right? Like, I remember getting into fistfights in games on dudes kicked me in the face first, and you'd have to go in there and explain why you don't want to get fined $35,000. And you'd be like, he kicked me in the fucking face, dude. And he'd be like, didn't mean you had to turn around and punch him. And it's like, what was supposed to do? Walk away, and you're like, that's $35,000 you just took from me. You could do that, get in trouble, and get suspended, and now they're like, yeah, we're not going to pay you anymore. Why? Because we want to pay our quarterback more. Sorry, bro. We're going to give you a new deal.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see who blinks first, right? Because, I mean, in reality, he hasn't signed, so they can't fine him.
He can actually go back to college, it sounds like.
No, I don't think
he can't go back to college.
He's officially a pro, but he can wait till next year and get redrafted.
He can basically sit out the entire year and then re-enter the NFL draft. Which is
dangerous.
Wow, I don't know
very
if I would,
dangerous, dude.
Because here's what happens if he does that.
You're a year older.
What team's going to want to draft him knowing that this issue was arised originally, right? And they don't want to deal with it. He's not going in the first round if he re-enters the draft next year.
So his money will go down. And
sure.
he's forfeiting a signing bonus for 12 months, right? Because he hasn't put pen to paper. Boy, they've got man, it's so tough.
But here's the problem too.
But now Stewart's talking out, like he spoke to the media finally about it.
Don't do that.
And then he talked about Trey Hendrickson's situation, and you're just
don't do that. Don't do that. Don't talk about somebody else. Don't talk about somebody else. Don't you dare. All right. Now listen. Here's the problem. Stewart's from Georgia, right?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. You think they paid him a lot of money there?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Because when I was coming out, I remember Crabtree was doing this, and I was kind of like, man, how's he living right now? Like, what kind of money is he living? Like, we didn't come from any money. And yeah, we got some money, right? But it wasn't like $1 million deals that these dudes are making. This kid could literally sit back and be like, dude, I'm sitting on $2 million. What do I give a shit? Fine, I go in the second round next year. I don't get such a big signing bonus. I'm already sitting on a ton of money. Like, these kids have different options than we did because they do have more money than we do.
True.
And that's what the owners don't remember. And all of a sudden, you start trying to play these games because back in the day, it was like, shit, I need to get paid. I got to get there. These kids are like, dude, I already got investments. I drive a Ferrari. What the fuck do I care? I'll wait a year. You know what? I don't even want to play for the Bengals. Why? Because it doesn't seem like you care about your players. Boom. Like, they're going to start spinning it in their head because they have the money to fall back on. And they do have the advice from their agents to go, hey, man, let's just go in next year, right? Like, that would be fucking insane, but I could easily see it happening.
Yeah. I mean, because here's the other piece is if the Bengals back down first, they've now sent a message to us,
Yep.
right, as the agents of like, all right,
All you got to do is hold up.
We'll go to war with you too.
Right.
Like, we'll go to war
crack.
with you too. We'll see what happens with Trey Hendrickson. We'll see what happens with Shemar Stewart. Like,
There's a lot,
dude, it's
right now.
There's
a lot riding.
The front office of the Bengals is not where you want to be right now.
You know, to your point about like having kind of college NIL bleep you money now compared to 10 years ago, there's a website that on3.com that tracks NIL valuation for every college player. So Arch Manning right now is the most valuable. Apparently, he's sitting around like a $7 million NIL number for this year.
Dude,
Here's the
that's
crazy
fucking
part.
insane.
And like he'll go to the draft, whatever. But you know that's the equivalent of the year one salary to be the 6th overall pick.
Yep.
So the fact that like as NIL creeps up and now that lawsuit was just settled and so like there's just more money pouring into college football, there is a harder decision about, well, gosh, if I'm like the 15th or 20th overall pick and I could, you know, it's like $3 million a year on a rookie scale deal and I'm making $6 million a year over here in the SEC, it makes it more of a decision and it gives the players more leverage to.
It already has.
I don't love that clause.
No, we
actually.
see it.
Well,
We see it all the time.
It's why Carson Beck went to Miami.
Right.
Right. It's why guys.
Dude, we
will
recruit
stay in
kids all the time
college.
that say it. Why would I want
Yeah.
to go and make less and when I can stay here and have fun and make a ton? And we're like, oh my god, they're.
I mean,
smarter
even
than us.
if it's like, dude, there's day 3 picks making $500,000, right?
More,
a year,
more.
Like, yeah, making $500,000 to $600,000 a year in college. When it's like, dude, if I go day 3 and like late day 3, I might sign for $200,000.
I might not
and then
even make
none
the
of my
team.
contracts guaranteed. Why wouldn't I stay in school and have $600,000? Dude, $600,000 when I'm a senior in college. I'm doing so much stupid shit.
Do you know what
like-
shit we could do with $100 back in the day? You have no
Yeah.
idea what I would have
I
done.
mean, I
with
remember
600K, dude.
stipend day came around, and you're like, all right, there's my $860 for the month. Okay, $400 goes to a minute, and it's like, oh, $460 for beer, right? Like, you're just like, here we go.
It was the best.
But
These
yeah,
kids
it's
now
gonna be
are like,
really interesting, man. It's gonna be really interesting to see how this goes because no one's gonna want to blink first here.
nobody. And technically, nobody has to because nobody's really in a panic situation. So what
They
happens?
are. The
Well,
Bengals are more panicking than Shamar
They
based on the
can't-
fact
they
they don't have
cannot
edge
let-
rushers. They don't have edge
can't let-
rushers.
I know, but they can't let that be known because
They
if you let
can't-
them
they
know you're
can't.
desperate,
Yeah.
blood in the water. There's sharks.
I
on
could
the
see
other
this
side,
thing.
too,
I could see this thing bleeding all the way to the season.
for sure.
Yeah, this is
I can
going
see
to
this
get
thing
it's
Plus the
bleeding
Trey
all
Henderson
the
thing
way.
on the other side, like Amy Blackburn has to be like, oh my god, what is going on?
She's not.
She's not happy.
She's not sleeping at night.
Mike Brown's like, what's going on?
Let's do
Pay
one
'em
more.
all.
Let's do one more with Jay here before he has to go do agent things. So Zach chimes in. Actually, this is for Booney, but curious to get Jay's angle on this too. Can we get an update on Booney's knee after the surgery? It's been 9 or 10 months post surgery. Is he back to normal and in
look at
playing
this guy.
shape again?
God, look how big it is.
Look at that scar, dude.
Oh, it's massive. It's so massive.
It's
It's twice the size of my other knee, and I remember them being like, we were going to put it in, but we realized it wouldn't hold you up, so we had to go get a bigger one, and we scoured the hospital. It's showing now because people look at it like, what the fuck is wrong with that thing? It's good. It's good.
So what's the
They had to call
update? Are you
They had to call the zoo and get the elephant knee.
I wish. God, I wish so bad. The update is we're back lifting. We're in the gym. We're hitting the pads with the boys. We're full go, man. We're ready to roll. Love it.
and it's not like at a 90-degree angle anymore. Kind of it's not
No, it
touching
doesn't-
your other knee.
It
when
doesn't
you, when
V
you
in.
walk.
No, I saw Jay this weekend. Jay, how nice
Yeah.
did it look?
Yeah, it looked nice
incredible,
and
right?
straight.
It's
No
still a
knee
little
sleeve
numb.
on it today. I'm seeing too.
No, Mama makes me go without a knee sleeve. She says I'm using that too much as a crutch. And I was literally more like, it's not a
You're
crutch.
soft.
It's just I don't want anyone to be grossed out, right? Like I don't want anyone to see this long scar on my knee. I hate the scar. So
She gets
I
a
think it's
tattoo or something
badass.
around it.
what's up?
Get a tattoo or something around it.
I'm thinking about it. I'm waiting for the swelling to go down a little bit more. It's still a little swollen, but like tonight in my softball game, I'll cover it for sure. I don't want the girls looking at that. That's gross. That's disgusting. Could you imagine that? Like a fucking guy on the mound pitching with a big scar up his knee. Like, let's go, Brittany, let's go.
It's badass.
What's wrong with that guy?
You don't want them to target your knee with a softball either.
I'll tell you what. There's been a couple that have come so hot back at me. One of them hit me right in the hip. I thought I broke my hip.
You're pitching?
Oh, you have to, and ain't you? You have to be the machine pitcher, right? Like
I get it. I thought it was like
you don't got the little cage thing in front of you,
dude. It's a real game. Like we're out there. I'm in the middle of the game. I cannot tell you how addicted I am to this. Like I am. We tied on Monday with Chaplin Park. They're the number 3 team in the state. We tied 0-0. The game's ending, right? There's a massive storm around us. Mackie, you remember the storm on Monday.
It was crazy. Well,
me and the other coach come up to each other, and she looks at me like, this game isn't over. And I was like, fuck, it is. We are finishing this. Someone scores before we leave. We ended up keep going, and we lost in like the bottom of the 9th. We only played 6. We lost in the bottom of the 9th. Last out, my first baseman dropped the ball, and a girl on third took off home. And I mean, me and my assistant coach were in the outfield. We looked at each other. We're like, let's go. Let's go home right now. And the other coach like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Me and the other coach were like, just get the fuck out of here.
Dude, youth baseball, softball, you need like your best athlete almost has to play first base just to catch the throws.
Listen, the girls on my team are studs. We have our bid to NAFA. We're going to nationals. Like we're doing this, right? They're studs. Every now and then they make a little error. And Coach Boone has to remember they're 8. At times, right? I get in the outfield and they're like, what are you going to say? And I go, effort, ladies. Effort is killing me. Break my heart. I tell them all the time, you're breaking my heart. So
there's no crying in softball.
What are you crying? No.
All right. On that note, men, I got to roll,
buddy.
I will see you guys next week when I come back from the float trip. So.
Dude, bachelor party weekend for Jay. Be crazy.
Make it, Brody.
All right.
All right, Phil. Let's get canceled.
All right, let's
Here we
keep
go.
rocking.
Hit me with the dirty shit. What do you want to know?
Questions. Let's do this one here. Let's do. I feel like you guys may have answered this before, but Stu wants to know.
Stu it.
He makes his living out of a suitcase. Like he travels a lot. What does an NFL player pack for a road trip?
Like in my bag for games or my bag for a hotel?
Like for your I'm guessing hotel. Because I mean you're probably just showing up to the stadium and you probably like you dress nice to the stadium, don't you? Or is that just the quarterback?
Yeah,
okay.
Suits.
So what is you're going to be there for one night or 2 nights usually?
It depends. Like in Frisco, if we would go East Coast, it was always 2 nights. But if you would go to like Seattle, it was the night before. So you really just a suit, a pair of clothes. If we ever went to the East Coast, we'd always do walkthroughs over there. So they would bring you clothes. The team would bring you clothes and lay them out in front of your door before the walkthrough. Like they really don't make you take a lot of stuff. I think the best is when you're packing your bag before the game because you're so mental you're going to forget something. You're looking at it like, okay, I got 3 sets of cleats, 12 knee braces, 36 sets of pads, helmet, 12 mouth guards. Like you're like, I know I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? You'll get to the game and it's always the same fucking thing. God damn it. Where are my gloves? Where are my gloves? No, it's gloves. You always forget the gloves. And so I always have to go to EQ and be like, hey guys. And they're like, gloves. Did you forget gloves, Boone? And I'll be like, I forgot my gloves. I'm sorry. And they're like, don't worry, we packed your set. But it is stressful. And I'll be honest with you too, EQ, they check your bag all the time. So they always knew I forgot gloves. That's why they always brought an extra set and they'd kind of fuck with me. But if you don't pack your bag, it's a big no-no. Like that's a big, big no-no. Like on Friday or Saturday when you leave for that game or you get on that bus, your bag better be fucking racked with everything that you need because if equipment has to come over and start pulling your helmet and shoulder pads in there, I've seen them slam some shit. Like they start grabbing stuff and fucking throwing it in the bag and they'll be like, they'll go get your like worst pair of cleats and pull them out and be like, yeah, you can fucking wear these this week. Like they'll mess with you because they're like, this is not my fucking job, right? Your job was to pack you. My job was to make sure that it was zipped and then the fucking big trailer. And at times guys would forget and they would get super mad. And sometimes it was kind of comical, but it's a big deal packing your bag before the trip. It is getting a lot of chaotic. Guys are like, hey, who's bringing the cream? Who's bringing the pills? Who's bringing this? Who's bringing the pre-workout? Who's got this? Like it's kind of fun. It really is.
What about the suits? Like where would you get Did you have like a suit guy?
Oh, I have my own suit guy. Yeah, the King brothers up here in Minnesota. I love them.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
I always did custom suits, 3 pieces always. My grandfather told me a 3-piece suit always looked good. I always got matching suits for the kiddos, so we always wear them out now. It's just super fun. But I think it eventually became kind of a fashion statement, right? Like when I first got in the league, everything was like black suit, black tie. Everyone was like, I gives a fuck. And then eventually it started like becoming like, hey, let's have fun with it. Let's do silly stuff with it. All the interiors of the suits have silly pictures, and it's become really fun, actually. And it's one of the things that makes it fun to play in the league is you can go around and mess and do stupid shit.
But how long are you actually wearing the suit for? So you put it on at the hotel room, and then you get on the bus, and then you walk through the tunnel, and there may be some cameras or some social media people that put it out there.
Well, you have to
then,
wear it on
like
the plane
you get
ride.
to the. So after the game, you put your suit back on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it
And
depends
then
if the coach is cool or not. Like if you lose the game, everyone's wearing suits. You're not even asking, right? But if you win the game, sometimes they'll be like, "Hey, sweats back." There's always a man like a uniform. Everyone's gonna do the same thing, right? Normally, and it depends. Like there's so many weird rules. Like if you're only flying a short flight, everyone has to wear a suit. But if you're flying like a 3-hour flight or a 4-hour or 5-hour flight, everyone can wear sweats. Like it's kind of like let's get comfortable for this trip, right? On the way back, if you win, it's probably going to be sweats. If you lose, you're definitely wearing that suit.
Wow. So when you lose a game on the road, and you're sitting on that plane, and it's a nice plane, right? You're not sitting like
Oh no, it's a great plane.
some cram suit,
Completely
but you're like
chartered.
wearing a suit on the plane.
Yeah, that's no big deal.
It's kind of wild.
It's
really
kind
cool.
of silly when you look around and you're like, dude, I'm looking at some real cannibal motherfuckers wearing 3-piece. Like this shit's hilarious.
And no one's like the only people that see you are like your teammates.
Well, pretty much. Well, you know what it is they want you to look uniform, right? They want you to look good. They want you to look respectable. And at times, we used to have these conversations all the time. Like they'd be like, listen, no fucking holes in the jeans. We're not buying our shit at Abercrombie, all right? We're fucking grown men. And you'd be like, who the fuck's wearing holes? Like, and then the other one would become like no offensive stuff. And then it became a big thing of like, what's offensive? Like Boone wants to wear a shirt that says fuck lettuce. Is that offensive? Who's that offensive to? The vegans? Like, and then I would I pushed the boundaries a little bit.
This was I used to cover baseball as a writer like 10, 15 years ago. And it was the Twins at the time. And there was like a rift in the clubhouse among some of the veteran players and some of the younger players who came up.
Yeah.
Because the veteran players, like when you baseball, there's road trips every week. You're like hopping on planes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like you dress up for the road trip. So you walk out of the clubhouse, you go to the airport, and like you got your. And the veterans thought that the younger guys were being too casual, like ripped jeans or flip flops and stuff. And one of the veterans pulled me aside, legitimately, like pulled me, a writer, like a media guy aside, and was like, "I got like you didn't hear this from me, but we got to get this out there. Like these dudes need to be shamed publicly." Like, and he gives me like, here's what you should write, basically, about these young players. So I always found it funny though because the only people that see them are like us writers in the clubhouse. And then, like, maybe the people on the tarmac that are welcoming them to the plane?
Well, you know what it is like, if you don't set the standard, it's going to be a fucking mess. Because guys like me are going to show up in shorts and a tank top and flip-flops all the time and be like, who gives a shit what we look like on the way to war, right? Like, we're going into a big street fight. Do you really care if I wear a 3-piece? Like, but if the minute you're like, hey, we dress like this, guys are like, got it. Understood.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's see. Ruck music director chimes in here and says, what part of your body hurts the most on a Monday morning in the NFL? Or how would you power rank in order the things that hurt the most?
Back 1, knees 2, hips 3, elbows 4, shoulders 5. My shoulders never really hurt. My elbows never really hurt. But my hips, knees, and back were hideous at times. And, man, I remember growing up and, like, there was a video of Jerome Bettis trying to get out of his bed or something. And he used to have to put, like, those hot packs on. And I was like, man, I'm never going to get like that. And I'm fucking like 37. And I'm like, hey, does anyone got any hot packs around here? Like, it is, I'm not kidding. Like, I guess the adrenaline rolls so hard that you don't realize it in the moment. Because there were some days where you just pop right up. You were so excited, whether it was a big win or you had a big victory against a superstar or whatever it was. But man, like, I think the worst is now when you're like, you're not in it anymore, right? And you're not in the cold tubs all the time, and you're not taking care of yourself like you used to be. And it's really hard. But back then, it was probably the knees, and getting those knees going it was a lot of cream, a lot of hot tub, a lot of cold tub.
That's the horse cream that you were talking about.
There's a
lot.
Yeah. And everybody always had their own little routines and their own little thing. And, you run out of the meetings and you have to get all your shit in. And it was tough, but yeah,
It's,
nothing like that, man.
and back is because you're literally like you're like fending off 300-pound humans for 3 hours, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're just like leveraging your back. My
Absolutely. And then you're every now and then they'd be like, hey, you got a bulge in your back, or you got this going on. And you're like, oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Ugh.
And you'd be like, am I fine? Because that
Am I gonna be
lightning
fine when I'm
rod-
like 50? I don't know,
dude. You'd get that lightning rod feeling down your ass, and you'd be like, oh, are you sure I'm gonna be okay? You're fine. You're tough.
We'll shoot you up. Don't worry.
Yeah,
about
bullshit.
it.
It's all
Nick,
good.
Nick Correa says, dumb football question. Is every head coach either a defensive guy or an offensive guy, or can head coaches be good at both?
No, I don't know anyone that claims to be both. I mean, I know one that claims to be a special teams guy too, but you're more like
John Harbaugh.
Yeah, you're more like specialized in one area. That way you can focus on that area, right? And so whatever you're into, the other side probably has a mad scientist working on that side, right? That's because the two sides never really cross over. They kind of, if anything, drive each other to become better. I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of anyone being like, oh, I'm an OC and a DC. You'd be like,
So like with Jim, like Jim Harbaugh, for instance. So you played for Jim, who was offense. You played for Zim, who was defense. Pete Carroll was defense. But like for Jim, how much you'd probably see a lot of him like in offensive meetings, but right? Or how much time would Jim Harbaugh spend in defensive meetings?
Never. He's
so you just hire a dude.
I mean, dude, listen, they're the real OC, right? Like Matt LaFleur is the OC for his team. Dan Campbell is the OC for his team. The other people might voice what they want, but they're the ones that hear it going into the quarterback's ears, and all of a sudden they go, nope, don't like that. Hey, we're not running that. Hey, run 18 real quick, and then they flip over. Give me a better fucking play selection than that, right? Click. All of a sudden, they are the ones running the show, and if you look. The other side has mad geniuses all the time, right? Like you said, Zimmer. Who was Zimmer's offensive counterpart?
He had a bunch of them. He had one. He had like
Norv
one
Turner,
every year.
right? Like Norv Turner was a massive name. Kevin Stefanski, another like head coach now, OC, right? Like they always have guys that are like they are completely competent of running the other side of the ball without any of my help. And at the end of the week, we all come together and go, this is my game plan. What's your game plan? I don't like yours. Do you like mine? Like, let's agree on a few things. But for the most part, never do they really flip both sides. If anything, I feel like when you have a DC, he's always poking the offense, right? And when you have an OC, he's always poking the defense. And it's like the two are always there to drive each other. And I don't know that you could really handle both sides. Like, that would be so much information all the time to be like, I do both. You'd be like, I don't know about that.
So it's pretty much can you hire someone on the other side that knows what they're doing? I feel like it gets the more like you have Brandon Staley, for example. Brandon Staley was a defensive guy whose defense was terrible for a few years in San Diego or LA. That's when it gets weird because it's like this is your specialty.
Oh, absolutely.
And your specialty is failing. That's when finger pointing starts.
That's when like the top is literally failing everybody, right? Like you said, like when Zimmer was here, he had one of the best defenses ever because he was a DC, right? Like you just invested so much into him that you were like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, right? It's the same thing. Like even in, and I guess Frisco was different for us because our defense was so dominant, but our offense was so intriguing and so awesome, and it was because Jim poured so much time into it and was like, this is my baby and this is how we do it. Yeah, you could definitely see. I mean, which side they're on, and at times that you can see it. I don't know how to say this properly, but like it sets the mood for the team, the character of the team. Like most offensive-minded teams are very creative and they're excitable and they're fucking all over the place. Where more defensive-minded teams are more, we run the ball, we'll punch you in the mouth. A 10-7 game is fine with us. Like it's fucking weird how that kind of translates into each other.
Yeah, I feel like defensive-minded coaches, their main thing on offense is just. Don't
be safe.
Screw it up.
Don't fuck
turn
this
it
up
over.
for us. Absolutely.
Yep. Keep it close.
And then you think about like the Rams Kansas City game that was like 54-51, right? Two offensive teams that are like, I don't give a fuck. Drive that ball down the field, throw it as far as we can. And I was there with Zimmer and Pete Carroll that were both like, hey, running the ball is just as good as throwing it. And you were like, no, that's not how that works.
That was always my annoyance, like as just an idiot fan watching the Zimmer. And like the Vikings won a bunch of games with Zimmer, but like they would take a 10-7 lead or something, and he would protect that as if it were the fourth quarter. It's like, dude,
3rd and 5, you're
probably
running zone.
Need 28 points still to win this game. So
Well, you know what that is? That's them going, I'm putting my dick on the table, and I'm going to let you know my defense is that good. And we're just going to run the ball and keep it simple. Dude, we used to get in those games, and you'd be like, okay, here comes play action. And they'd be like, 3rd and 7. Let's go double right, quarterback draw. You'd be like, fuck. You got to be kidding me, dude. A fucking draw with a white quarterback? God, you guys could not be any more unoriginal. And you'd be come out the field and be like, coach just didn't trust the slant, didn't trust the sluggo. And you'd be like, fucking throw the ball.
That floppy sleeves, Sam Bradford leaning forward for 2 yards.
Those fucking floppy sleeves drove me nuts. They drove.
Was he the only player that still wore floppy sleeves?
0 drip. Negative drip. Negative. With the old like Revo helmet that hung real low, you were like, this could not get any worse.
Did he ever explain the floppy sleeves? It feels like an impediment to throwing the ball. Like, why is the sleeve touching my
I feel like I asked him at one point about everything that he does, and he would just ignore me. Like, he would just look at me like, that's a stupid question, and then look back at the film. Because I remember asking him a lot of questions, like, why do you do this? And he'd be like, all right, here we go, guys.
Give me
2
a
jet. Yeah,
Get out of here.
fuck this guy.
Cortland wants to know, hey, Phil, I've been watching for 3 or 4 years now on YouTube, OLine Committee, or for 2 years, I guess. I'm watching the OLine Committee right now. I'm curious, what are you writing down while the big boys are talking? Or what are you doing when they're talking during the show? I'm guessing you're taking notes, but specifically, what are you doing when you turn to write things down? Well, Cortland, I'm glad you asked that question. What do you think I'm doing?
I think you're taking notes because when I brought up Jerome Bettis' name, you started to take another note. So you were probably like, brought up Jerome Bettis. And then all of a sudden...
Yeah, it's it's all whited out there.
We can't see it.
It's me, you know how like in the YouTube description for the podcast, there's like timestamps for what we're talking about.
Yeah,
because the audience wanted to know, hey, it would be helpful if like you put 10 different timestamps so I could, if I wanted to go to a topic or something. So it's my little timestamps. It's 2 things. It's my little timestamps. Like at the 22-minute mark, we talked about how is Alex's knee doing. At the 26-minute mark, we talked about how NFL players pack, and then what I'll do is like I'll circle something if it's hilarious and I think it might be good on social media, and then our guy AJ, who crushes our social media clips,
goes to it, finds it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if Jeremiah says in a weird, uncomfortable, sultry way how much he loves a quarterback sticking their knuckle in his nutsack 2 weeks ago.
He did.
That
love
needs
that,
to be.
didn't
We
he?
need to write that down so that it can go viral on social media.
Not to say that that's unusual to be liked at that position either. I'm just, and I do love the fact that like I don't really check Instagram a lot, but my Instagram has been going insanely blaze crazy, and it's funny to see all the comments on it like back and forth, like pause, y'all too crazy, and it's like, dude, this is the shit we used to talk about in rooms. Like, coach would be like, what the fuck's going on with this snap? You'd be like, coach, his hand's just not in my ass. I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like, you got to tell him to get his fingers in there. Like, it's fucking driving me nuts. He'd be like, do you feel him on your balls? You'd be like, I don't feel him at all. I'd be sitting there like, what the fuck's wrong with you guys? But one of the things that I used to do, because at times we act really silly, right? Like, we act really immature. In like really heated moments of the game, say we were in a silent count situation, and I had to look back, and like normally I would tap the leg or something, and I would give him a really soft tap to let him know like, hey, we're good. At times in a hardcore situation, I'd smack the living shit out of Goody's ass just to get him to calm down a little bit, and it would piss him the fuck off so bad. And there were so many times I took fines for that, because normally I'd hit the leg, but the minute I'd swipe up the ass, people would be like, oh, that's definitely a fine. Like, but it was one of the things that like we would talk about all the time, and people would just be like, dude, it's just so funny though. And somebody's at home right now like, did you just see that guard smack that center's ass? What the fuck was that about? Like, people have to be asking these questions, and it was one of the things that made it so fun. And I'm not even kidding you, like these conversations happen all the time. Like, we'd be watching films and I'd be like, did you just smack Goody's ass? Yeah, I did. It was 3rd and 15. I needed him to calm down a little bit. They'd be like, wrong time to piss him off, dude. I'd be like, oh yeah, he was mad. By the time we got back to the huddle, he was cool again. So I was like, this is just the shit we do all day. It really is a bunch of idiots in a room fucking around.
Which I think is that's where this podcast is at its best. When you guys
question. Dude, we're the best room.
I got time for one more here. Let's do from Matt Mefford 2696 YouTube. Dumb football question. Can you guys? Well, he wants us to use film. I think we'll bring back film for sure, like in the coming weeks here.
Oh yeah,
and for sure during the season. But
for sure,
he wants to know: can you explain the different run schemes and why some teams run one scheme versus another? So like there's gap scheme, there's zone, outside zone, inside zone. Can you just generally explain the different types of run scheme offenses?
I mean, yeah, for the most part, number one, I feel like gap scheme is kind of dying, and it's not dying. It's just not as prevalent as it used to be. Gap scheme is now turned into more like duo, doctor, drill, stuff like that. Yes, there is counter, there's sway, there's stutter, there's stuff like that, but like most teams are now running zone, outside, inside. It's caused, number one, they run it, and they'll tell you the first day in the NFL, we run these plays because we get the most combo blocks on these plays, right? Like you normally get a tight end and a tackle working together, guard and center working together, guard and tackle working together, or guard, tackle, and tight end working together, right? You get all these combo blocks, which eventually works to your favor because when you double one person, you have better success rate than doing all these one-on-one blocks, right? And the one-on-one blocks become harder in the power game because there's really only one double team in the power game, right? It's normally the guard and the tackle are deucing the three technique back. The center is one-on-one back block. The tight end is one-on-one on the defensive end, which historically fucking loses, right? Because defensive ends are really smart and they're physical. Tight ends are more like, I want the ball, throw it to me. That's why it's kind of like this drill series has become a huge pushing point for the NFL because it's more double teams in a zone-like structure, right? So you have normally the front side tackle and tight end are on a double team, the center and guard are on a double team, and at times the backside center or the backside guard and tackle can be on a double team, right? Starts to sound more like zone, more double teams, better success rates, but people run it based on their running backs, right? Based on their offensive line. That's how it used to be. Like, oh, we have these big motherfuckers. We're going to run drill and power, and we're going to crunch them. And then all of a sudden people will be like, oh, we have an Alex Mack type or a Kelsey type. We're going to run zone because our centers can reach these noses, and we can fucking get this done. It's now become a more of an offensive of just zone. Right? Zone is so important everywhere. Everyone's running wide zone, tight zone, mid zone, cross zone, all these different types of zones. Because number one, you get the combos. And number two, it's easy to block. Power, drill, duo, people start moving, you start fupping shit, it gets really intense, right? Like all of a sudden, I was working with you, now I'm working with you, but we're still going back, and it's all these new angles where you get into zone sometimes, and coaches would be like, hey, and this is what I loved about zone. Like guys like Tony, right? R.I.P. Tone. Guys like Chris Furster, Mike Solari, they'd come in and they go, hey, you know what? If you get into a shitty situation on this play, just Zorro it. And you'd go, all right. Because now all of a sudden, the minute we didn't like something, Zorro, and everybody was like, what a dick, right? It was like an easy way out. And Zorro just meant come run off the fucking ball, and anybody in your gap you were taking, right? And everyone's going to throw you a hand, and then if you're free, you're going to climb, and it makes it simple. But it also gives the running back the ability to showcase how good he is. Because a lot of these plays now, these tight zones, these mid zones, it's, hey, let's press the edge and then let's cut back. And let's see how good we can get a double team backside, right? And let's see how good our running backs are at cutting backside. And can they see the hole? These running backs now are fucking phenomenal, dude. Look at Saquon, right? Like, fucking amazing. And you give this guy the ball in a ton of space and say, hey, go make something happen and go be creative. That's what they do best. So offensive line, and when it comes to run game, is really turning into an outside zone, tight zone, mid zone type of thing. But drill is still prevalent, right? Like 3rd and 2 at times. I talk to a lot of guys in the league and they're like, man, my coaches love drill. They love to just send a message sometimes. And you're like, I get that message because that message comes right down the A-gap and says, you can't fucking stop this. But that's why that play becomes important for that situation. And everything else is really just a zone type.
Is it Mike Shanahan made the zone run blocking scheme like mainstream in football, right?
You're talking about the dad, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like Kyle's dad, Mike Shanahan, and I just pulled up to Denver. So Mike Shanahan became Denver's head coach in '95. They won the back-to-back Super Bowls a few years later, and they finished in rushing offense, in yardage rushing offense, 5th, 1st, 4th, 2nd, 12th, 3rd, 10th, 5th, 2nd, 4th, 2nd. Like the first 10 years of Shanahan,
they were always
in Denver,
top 5. And
it
a
was
couple
Terrell Davis, and then they would turn like random dudes, Mike Davis, Clinton Portis, like these late-round draft
I remember that
picks,
one. Yeah, I remember that.
into 1,200-yard running backs. And then I just feel like people started stealing from the Shanahan zone run blocking scheme. But I just remember that being a big thing in the 90s with Denver and Terrell Davis. And
Yeah.
And now it's kind of spilled over, but yeah, it's just fun to see the evolution of like
football,
how coaches
absolutely.
copy each other, you know?
Dude, and not only that, but it's such a copycat league, right? And all of a sudden, coaches, you see them putting stuff together like, hey, we're going to take half of this and put it with half of this. And obviously, the new thing now is these RPOs, right? Like, you get a Jaden Daniels, and all of a sudden it becomes you have to cover every blade of grass because we know for a fact the ball's not just going this way, it could go this way. And now all of a sudden, this mesh point becomes so important. And who are we fooling with this mesh point? There's so much that goes behind it. Like, I remember sitting in these meetings, and this is what really blew my fucking mind, is when you would start listening to these OCs and how creative they were and how they could think like defensive-minded players because they put themselves in the middle linebacker role, and they were like, okay, if I see this crossing my face and then this happens, what am I going to do? And most of the time, they'd be like, probably shit my pants, right? Like, because there's a lot going on. And as long as you can cause enough confusion and chaos on the other side, good things will happen on the offensive side. But it's being creative enough to do that. How do we get this to happen? How do we get Kittle in motion? How do we get Brandon Ayuk to do all these things? We're talking about a Shanahan, right? Like, that's why he's so amazing, because he has so many pieces of candy on the table that he's just moving them all over the place that people are like, fuck it. Stay here until you know for sure what's going on. But then all of a sudden that starts to burn you, right? And so now they're like, okay, now overflow. And now all of a sudden Shaney comes back and goes, hey, they're overflowing. Let's cut back, right? Like, there's always a fucking way to get it done. And it's so exciting to see how they do it.
Dude, isn't football great?
But
God dang it, dude.
we're so close to starting back up, Mackie. You have no idea. I have all these guys in the gym, and I'm fucking so excited again. It's why I cannot control myself. Like,
Yeah, I think we're like literally 1 month away this weekend from most of the teams. They bring like rookies and stuff. Quarterbacks report like the 20th of July.
Joe Alt has to be back the 15th of July. And he told me that rookies have to be back a week before him. And I was like, that's July 8th, bro.
Wow.
We are
so like 4th of
officially-
July, bang, you're just
done. And by the way, I told these guys this the other day. I fucking hate them so much because I am so jealous. Never have I felt better and wanted to go to camp with these dudes and go have a blast with them. And I'm telling you, man, it's so close. I'm so excited. It's going to be so fun.
got that new knee now.
Oh, don't fucking tease me, dude. I swear to
One more
God.
comeback.
We were hitting the two-man sled the other day, and I was hitting it with them, and I was looking at him like, does anyone need a guard? Which one of you
One
big
more.
motherfuckers wants a guard to
more
come play with?
One more run, dude.
Hey,
I think
hey.
you're younger than Trent Williams, aren't you?
I am. Well, yeah. I'd have to wave the knee, and I don't know how Mama feels about waving something like that. Like, she'd be like,
Nah,
nope.
you're older than Trent. And yeah, you would have
Mama?
to sign a waiver. But
I'd have to sign a massive waiver. Are you kidding me? The first person with a fake knee to play in the NFL? There'd be rules about that, dude.
Get you some Forrest Gump
I'll fucking
knee
do it.
braces.
I swear to God, I mean, I'll tell you what, though. Hey, some of these guys that we work with they're specimens. Like, one of them is 6'8", 340 pounds.
It's ridiculous.
He moves like the fucking wind. And I'm not kidding you. He picked this sled up. He's a tackle for the Colts. He picked this sled up and threw it 10 yards, and I was like, what the fuck what did you just do? And he was kind of like, I know, right? And I was like, oh my God, they are so fucking strong.
It's
these
wild.
days.
What are people like? You were born in the 80s? Like, do you remember with that William the refrigerator? William
Perry?
They literally called him the refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
And he was his listed playing size was 6'2", 330 pounds, and now it's like
That's a normal center.
Mekhi Becton is like 6'8", 380 pounds.
Like
At right guard. No, Perry was a defensive lineman.
But
what
no,
are people going to look like in 50 years?
It's ridiculous, dude. And you're right, because it's funny to think that, like, refrigerator Perry nowadays, you're like, oh, that's just a normal nose guard. All right, cool.
Yeah.
But back in the day, he was like, everyone was like, holy shit, right? Like, now you're like, well, that's like half a Linval Joseph. I blocked him several times. Like, that's nothing. But I will say this. When you talk about, like, Mekhi Becton, I was thinking about him and Joe standing next to each other, and I was like, Jesus Christ, he's bigger than you. Like, he's fucking, like, what? The sports has gone in a wild direction, guys, and they are becoming specimens.
Different episode, because we've reached the end of this one. But what you just said, you got Joe Alt, you got Becton over here, you got new running backs.
We should try and get some
I'm
of those
telling you,
Chargers
man.
on with us.
They're winning that division
Oh, dude, you know what? We should get Harbaugh on. We should do it.
next week. Let's get him on.
Let's go.
Tell him to
Text him right
wear
now.
the khakis and the visor.
Do
All right, he's
it.
Booney. He's the Rhino for
He's
Jay.
Macadac.
Agent Jay.
No, not
I'm
for Jay.
Macadac.
Ding him. Fucking leaving early. What is this? Daycare?
That's right.
Fuck out of here.
Click that like button, the subscribe button here. The OLine Committee. See you guys.